today is day one of me being obedient and stepping out, and just kind of sharing with y'all what God has really been dealing with me with. And so this is day one of my devotional breakdown. I will just kind of come and tell y'all and share with y'all what I read every morning. And I pray that as I go through this, as I grow through this, that we all grow together and that it blesses someone just as much as it blesses me. So this week, I have been eating up on the message that I got last Sunday. So the pastor had preached about kingdom culture. And when I tell y'all, that message made me want to turn the mirror back on myself and kind of really do a self-evaluation of who do you look more like and how are you living your life? How are you thinking? How are you living? What does your lifestyle really show? And who does it show that you represent? And so when he started off the message, he started with 4 words: mind, attitude, lifestyle, and culture. And so I looked up the definitions of these words. And so mind is where the thought begins. Your mind is how you interpret the world and yourself. The place where thoughts are formed, beliefs are shaped, choices are decided, and direction is set. What you allow into your mind eventually becomes who you are. An attitude, that is your settled way of thinking and how you respond. So attitude is the posture of your mind in action. Your attitude reveals what your mind has already agreed with. And then when it comes to lifestyle, it is the repeated patterns of behaviors that flow from your choices. How you live is what you believe. So how you live reflects what you believe. So it is your belief made visible. And then when it comes to culture, culture is what gets formed when those behaviors are lived out long enough. So it is shared and learned patterns of behaviors, beliefs, values, customs, habits that characterize a particular group or society. So one thing that he said that stood out to me, he said kingdom culture should create distinction, meaning there should be a key identifier that will be able to know that you are a child of the king and not of this world. Like the life that you live should have distinction in it by the way that you speak, the way that you operate, the way that you interact with people, the way that you respond to what people say to you, the way, like, there should be some type of distinction in the way that you are that identifies who you believe in and who you belong to. The scripture is Romans 12:2, and it says, "Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God." And so what Romans is telling us is do not live like the world in what they deem as acceptable or appropriate. Be shaped into the image of God by changing your thought pattern to align with truth. And so as I'm reading my Bible daily, my mind is constantly being renewed by the word. So I'm changing my mind and my thought pattern to align with the way in which God thinks and the way in which he's telling me to operate. But then the thing that stood out to me, so it said that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. And then so I looked up the definition of prove, and prove means to demonstrate the truth or existence of something by experience or argument. And so it didn't say to know what is the good, acceptable, and perfect will of God, because to know means, okay, that's head knowledge. But it said to prove. Prove is something that you have to experience, something you have to act out. So it is saying that you may experience, that you may live out what is the good, acceptable, and perfect will of God. And so as your mind is being renewed, you gain the ability to experience and recognize God's will as good, acceptable, and perfect. And then so one other thing that as I was reading, so what Romans is really dealing with here, it is not a behavior change, which obviously as you renew your mind, as you begin to be conformed into the image of God, that your behavior will start to align with that, because once you change your mind, your actions change. But what it is really telling us is about a capacity change. And so basically what Paul is saying is change what you're capable of discerning, desiring, and sustaining. Because as you renew your mind, God's will no longer becomes foreign, but it becomes natural. His will becomes your culture. And what the world deems as restrictive or a list of rules, you call good. What the world calls outdated, you call acceptable. What the world calls extreme, you call perfect. Today, I guess my whole thought process of this, and I hope that we can I've been breaking down the mind, your actions, your mind, your attitude, your lifestyle, and your culture. But it's what Romans is really telling us is that as you begin to renew your mind and allow your mind to be transformed and conformed to the image of God or the mind of God, his culture becomes your culture. Then the culture in which that shaped you today is no longer what you lean on or what you depend on or what you look to. So without making this too long, I do have a few questions that I would want to ask. And then so the first question is, and I would like, you can answer it in the comments if you want to, or you can just answer it on your own, and we can have a conversation about this if y'all would want. But the first question is, who or what is shaping the way you think right now? Question number 2, when pressure hits, what attitude comes out of you first? Question 3, what pattern in your daily life tells the truth about what you value? Question 4, what has become normal in your life that would not be considered holy? And then question 5 is, if someone followed your life closely, what kingdom would they learn from it? Pray and hope that this bless you all. I pray as I grow in this and as I grow in God, that I am representing his kingdom well. Thank you all. Have a good day.